This is Boomer Nation on Talk Radio 860 WGUL. Here's your host, Terry Benincasa.
Welcome back. We're about to hear from Steve Gavatorta, our business communication expert, in his feature, Straight Talk. Hey, Steve.
Hey.
All right. Now, we've been dominant. We've been influenced. We've been steady.
You got it.
And now we're about to learn how we can adapt to the compliant type person. This is interesting stuff. And it just amazes me that we can literally discern somebody's personality if we learn how to do this properly.
Yep. And
we can do that relatively quickly and then adapt relatively quickly to their style. And we're going to be much more likely to get out of them what we hope to get.
Absolutely. We keep forgetting we're human beings interacting together. You know, the ability to read those people and make those connections, I think in this technological world, is going to be a differentiating point for
Absolutely.
people.
And even when we weren't so techie, this is a skill that has only in the last, 10 or 15 years come to the fore that folks are taught and can learn, or even the last 10 years.
Absolutely.
Okay, compliant.
You got it.
What do we do?
Remember, compliant people, they're much more analytical. They're much more conservative, exacting. They're very risk averse. So again, be more like that style to some extent. And I'm not saying if they're risk averse, you be more risk averse too. But you've got to appeal
to
their...
Don't talk to me. I don't want to talk to you.
You've got to appeal to their risk averse side by making them feel less afraid of taking risks, so to speak. So let's go back. Some things you should do when interfacing with a compliant style is be more analytical, be more conservative, be very deliberative with them, and be careful with what you're providing them. Take your time, provide them with facts and figures to make decisions. Remember, they fear change. They don't like taking risk. When interfacing with them, minimize the fear. Minimize their fear of the risk-taking or making a change, and you'll win them. If you're in a sales role and you're interfacing with a compliant style, if they're fearful of what you're recommending, they will never buy your product or take your recommendation. Minimize that fear of taking change and taking risk, and you'll win them over. Okay. And that's a key to know with a compliant style.
Yeah, it really is. And especially if it will be a risk, if you're asking them to switch vendors or to do something different, that's going to be a tough one for them. So if you can help them to feel better about that, I mean, I would imagine that would go for anyone, but in particular, someone who is this personality style, this would be big for them.
That's right. And appeal with facts and figures. Do not appeal with feelings and emotions. That doesn't mean anything to them. They make their decisions off of numbers and facts and figures, things of that nature. So that's how you want to appeal to them.
Sure, and that would help to reduce the risk in their mind.
You got it, exactly.
If the figures bear out your sales pitch.
Absolutely.
Okay. 5 and 3.
Yeah. The 5 things you should do is always prepare your case in advance. Know what you're going to provide them. Know where you got your information. They're even even rounding up numbers. Don't do that with them. Know their figures. If a number's 89 or 88.5, round down or round up. Those percentage points mean something to them. Approach in a direct, straightforward way. No BS. Get to business.
No air blowing for them. Definitely.
Not at all. Not at all.
Right.
Present facts and figures for success. Take your time. Be persistent with those facts. And lastly, as I've said before, do not appeal to feelings. Only facts and figures. And then the 3 things you should not do when interfacing with a compliance style is don't be giddy, casual, or informal. Don't push too hard with deadlines and that they can't reach. They're typical cross the T's, dot the I's type folks. So don't be too pushy with those things. And then lastly, don't be disorganized or messy. That's going to make them feel fearful. If you don't know what you're talking about, that's not going to help that piece of their fear of taking risk.
If you're looking all over in a bunch of messy papers for something, they're going to think,
absolutely,
this guy doesn't know what he's talking about.
You got it.
All right. Very good. What's coming up next week?
Well, we're going to delve into how these styles come into play and how you can interact with them better in selling roles, managerial roles, team roles, things of that nature.
Okay, great.
Give some examples.
Wrapping it all up. Wonderful. If you want to ask Steve a question, he'll answer either off or on the air. You can call it into our listener line, 877-999-1172, option 2, or you can email it to him at Steve, STEVE, at boomerradioshow.com. Talk to you next week.
Okay, sounds great. Bye-bye.
The
Attention business owners and managers. If you don't have a sales force that consistently exceeds quota or consistent growth in yearly profits, then you're quickly losing your competitive edge, and the Steve Gavatorta Group can change that. The Steve Gavatorta Group is a premier business communications consulting company with a client list that includes Bayer and New York Life. The Steve Gavatorta Group is known as the profitability catalyst. To find out what they can do for your company, call 813-908-1343 or go to gavatorta.com.